Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tom, otherwise known as Sandrammer, and I'm about to pour the handles, or rather the handle and the wrapping tools. Okie dokie. Well, everything poured good this time. No runouts, in other words. So I'm going to let these cool, and then I'll bring you guys back on the video, on the camera, I mean. See you in a little bit. Okie dokie. Time to break it out. Let's see if I can aim this up a little better. I hope that's... Well, that should be okay. Okay. This all came out. Now it's just a matter of letting it cool off the rest of the way and cutting them all loose. Well, this turned out good too. The casting itself doesn't appear to have any shrinks. And the only place I see any shrinkage is on top of the pouring basin and at the splash basin. Splash basin, considerably more shrink than anywhere else. So that tells me that that acted as a riser. Probably just acted as a riser for the runners. Anyway, so that successful pour. Now it's going to be a matter of me just putting things away, and then the next time you see me, I'll be cutting the runners and sprue and all that, the gating system, in other words, cutting those off of the castings, and then starting to clean up the castings so they can be used. But it just has to cool down first. So I will see you again in a little while. Okay, now that the castings have cooled down, it's time to start making some pieces. Now see this? The metal was hot enough that when it came in contact with the vent holes, it came up into the vent holes. So surely the gases that was made during this casting must have gone up into the vent holes too. Let's see if I can get this. Cut off. And by the way, all of this is going to go back into the pot, and it will be made into something later on. Okay, most of it's off. Now I can get rid of this excess, putting it over on the pile. Now let's see if we can do a little chopping over here. It's always a good idea to chop this stuff down to size that can fit inside your crucible. Okay, now all we got is the castings left, and just to clean the excess metal off the castings. Yep, sure is nice. This is, by the way, if you've forgotten, this is the handle that I'm making for my wife to be able to more easily turn on the shower. You know, to be able to pull it open, the valve, I mean. Let's see if I can get the rest of this off. This is good for taking large chunks off of the castings. For instance, the ingates. I think the rest of this is going to have to be done by the pneumatic grinder. I think I can get some of this done off of that though. See, it's when you make a mistake in the mold, it's not necessarily the most terrible thing, because if you've got excess, see, this is right here is where that sand broke off, and I just blew it out. Well, this is the reason why. It's because I can easily chop it off. Now, in the when I was in the Navy in the foundry, we didn't have a nice, you know, portable bandsaw like that. We just had regular hacksaws, and we used the hacksaws to cut the stuff off. Then we used the rest of it. We used the precision grinders and so forth. Okay, I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna do this first. See, I still got all of this to chop out. When I can, I will use that, but sometimes you can't. Well, I got a whole lot of chopping to do, and you know, you just seen a few minutes of it. It ain't going to be much different than what you just seen, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera and bring you back when most of this is done. See you later. Okay, now it's time to use the precision grinder and clean up the edges all around, and we'll see how that works. Well, it's going to work. I mean, you know, but it'll be a little noisy. And I'm not going to do it leave the camera on for the entire time. I'll just give you an idea of what it involves when it comes to cleaning up a casting. Now always use your safety gear, of course, gloves, eye protection, and all that stuff. It's a rough job to go to the doctor and have them get the pieces of metal out of your eye if you happen to get some stuck in it, you know, from the grinding and it coming straight into your eye. I did it once when I was a young sailor. It was my duty day, and they needed somebody to help. They being the what is it, the weld shop or the hull tech shop, I can't remember. Anyway, they were working on some big plates, and they were welding the plates together, and they needed somebody to grind a lot of the weld away and grind the edges of the plate so that you could have a V-shaped, butt. When they do some butt welding, they have the V-shaped, so you can get all the way down to the bottom of the plate and then fill in that V. Well, this is what I was doing, and I didn't have. I had a face shield on, but somehow or another a piece of that metal was deflected off of my chest up underneath the face shield and got directly in my eye, like somebody throwing a dart. It went directly into my eye. It was an interesting process getting rid of that. So please wear your safety gear. Okay. Now a good casting, once you get it done, will be nice and smooth all around. The excess metal that this represents, all this flashing they call it, you got to get rid of it. And you get it down nice and smooth like this, and then you're done with that. In this case, with this particular edge, I'm done with, okay? But I got to go all the way around, get rid of all the jagged stuff, and make it look as good as it can. I mean, it's only going to be a wrapping tool. It doesn't need to look like a plaque or a art, some kind of piece of art, okay? But that's what I've got to do now, and I'll bring you back when I get these ground down. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the job is done. Well, it's not done, because what I am going to do is I am going to, paint it, spray paint it, make it look a little bit nicer, try and make it last a little bit longer, because aluminum does corrode, especially if you're in a place like this where you have a whole lot of humidity in the air, and it would start turning that white powdery stuff, which is similar to the brown powdery stuff that you find on steel. So, okay, I'll bring you back when I done finish, painting. Okay, this little project is all done. I still have to work on my wife's project, but it turns out that I'm a little worried about this. It came out nice, as a casting. This came out very nice. It's just a matter of cleaning it up. Problem is, kind of heavy, And as a mechanical engineer, well, junior grade you might call it, I have an associate's degree in mechanical engineering through the Navy. I'm kind of worried that that's a little bit too heavy for the system that I'd be putting it on, because I'm going to be putting it on the knob, or rather, I'm going to take the knob off of the valve and putting this in its place so she can grip it and turn it, easier. But that would be putting a little bit too much weight on the stem. They're not all that, the ones you get to put in your house, they're not all that sturdy. So I may have to think of another project or another way of doing it. Maybe I can go ahead and just cut this in half, cut it down here, make the holes and everything, and see how heavy that is. But I think it's going to be back to the drawing board, as the old saying goes. So here's where, but these other ones came out nicely. They came out good enough for a backyard molder or a backyard foundryman to use when trying to make their patterns. See, these came out good. I'm pleased enough with it, and this will come in handy to the folks I'm going to send it to. They don't know I'm sending it to them yet, but I've watched them work on stuff, and they had not used, every time I watch them make stuff, they have not used a wrapping tool. So I'm thinking that maybe either they didn't know that they existed, or they didn't realize how how helpful these will be. But that's what I'm going to be doing, sending them off, and maybe they'll be kind enough to show them on their channel. and maybe even show them being used someday. Okay? But in the meantime, this is another little project over with. See, the thing is, if I lived on a farm, I'd have dozens of projects I could work on, in the little foundry. I could, if I was a machinist, there would be occasions where I could, use a furnace and molding sand to make replacement parts, that are just basic castings. But I'm neither on a farm nor on a I'm not a machinist that I could use those capabilities often. I'm just old suburbanite. I went from suburbia to the Navy, stayed in the Navy 20 years, as a molder, 99.9% of the time, and learned a lot. Not an expert by any means, because I didn't learn everything. Nobody learns everything. But the point I'm trying to make is that I'm not going to have the occasion to make a video every day. Just don't have all the things I need. I have a few other projects. I still have those bells that I want to make. That's one set of projects I can work on. I do have a couple other things in mind. Well, maybe by the time I get them all done and over with, I'll have more projects. Anyway, if you wish, you can make comments about this couple of videos that I made. You can put your thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on what you think about it. If it's thumbs down, hey, tell me what's wrong, because can't never improve anything if I don't know I'm doing something wrong, right? And pass the word to all your friends and relatives and cronies and all that my channel exists. I would love to have a bunch of people get involved in making things. Any of those folks that I just mentioned, like that are farmers, ranchers, any of the folks that would benefit from setting themselves up in a little foundry, rather than spending hundreds of dollars on a casting that they could make themselves, if they could find somebody who could make the casting. You can make it yourselves, and at a lot less money, and if you're not even a person who's going to make castings, you could use the furnace to melt down all the scrap that you have, pour it into an ingot mold and sell it. If you have to, for instance, go a long distance to a scrap or a place that buys scrap, you could go ahead and pour all the scrap into ingot molds, and then save it until you've got a pile of it, and then take the trip, instead of going, whenever you finally have a bit of a pile of scrap. You can have it all concentrated into ingots. Save yourself all those trips and all that gasoline. Okay, so I guess I think I've said everything I should say, everything I can say. So to all you Navy and ex-Navy, Liberty Call, and everybody else, have a nice day.